What's going on, YouTube, and welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's Kevin Forte, it's your man today, and we are taking a look at the Metropolitan Division matchup between the Metropolitan Division winning Carolina Hurricanes and the first wild card spot, New York Islanders. We're going to take a look at that series today in this video. So let's start off with how these teams matched up against each other during the regular season. They met each other 4 times, 2 times down in Raleigh, North Carolina, and twice on Long Island. And this so far has been pretty dominant for the Hurricanes. Now, the Hurricanes over the last few years, really since the Barry Trotz era, since Rod Brind'Amour has come into Carolina, they have been very dominant over the New York Islanders in the head-to-head matchup. They've won 3 of their 4 games against the Islanders this season, and they've all been pretty similar. Really, over the last couple of years, really since 2020, the matchups have been very close, low-scoring games with good goaltending and good defense. I would expect nothing less in this series, so get your popcorn ready, but don't be expecting a ton of goals in this series. We're going to see a lot of 3-1, 2-0, 1-0 games. If somebody's able to score 3 or 4 goals in a game this series, they will likely win that game. That's kind of how I'm looking at this series. And there's a lot of things in this series that kind of point to that. Goals for this season, the Hurricanes a little over 3 goals a game. That's 17th in the NHL. The Islanders scoring less than 3 goals a game, which puts them 22nd in the entire league. But like I said, the forte of these two teams is defense. 2.5 goals against per game for the Hurricanes. That's second best in the entire National Hockey League this season. And the Islanders right around there as well at 2.65. That's 4th best defense in the entire National Hockey League. So 2 heavyweights in terms of defense, and a lot of that is on the back of both of these teams' goaltending, which we'll get to in a minute. Power play and penalty kill. Neither of these teams are very good on the power play, but again, both of them are top 10 in terms of penalty kills. So this is a very defensive matchup. In terms of injuries, Carolina and the Islanders each have some pretty big injuries up front. Andrei Svechnikov had that big knee injury back last month. He is out for the entirety of the playoffs. Really bad news there for Carolina. And they've also been without for pretty much the entirety of this season. On the back end, without Jake Gardiner, he will likely not be playing this year as well as Ondrej Kase and Max Pacioretty. So Carolina is down 3 forwards that are featured when healthy in the top 3 of this lineup, the top 3 lines, with Kase, Pacioretty, and Svechnikov. So 3 pretty big wingers out of the lineup for Carolina going into this matchup, and a top 4 defenseman in Jake Gardiner. For the Islanders, they've been banged up a little bit. Matt Barzal will be back in the lineup for Game 1 of this series, so expect Barzy back in the lineup for the Isles. He's been out since February. Alexander Romanov had a day-to-day injury. I expect him in for Game 1. The only guy that will not be in the Islanders lineup, he hasn't been in the lineup since the end of last year, which is Oliver Wahlstrom. So Wahlstrom and Svechnikov, I guess you could kind of say, offset each other. Other than that, though, the Islanders are pretty much fully healthy compared to the Hurricanes, who are still missing some pretty big pieces. In terms of head-to-head matchup, not in terms of the results of the schedule, but forwards, defense, goaltending. In terms of forwards, I think Carolina, it's very close, but I think I'm going to go with the Islanders in terms of forwards. I think when healthy, Carolina edges out the Islanders with Kase, Svechnikov, and Pacioretty. But I got to be honest, I'm going with the Islanders here. This sounds a little bit crazy, but I think the Islanders have the edge there. And that was before Svechnikov got hurt. I think I still would have given the edge to the Hurricanes, but now with Svechnikov also out, I'm giving the edge to the Islanders. Defense, really close. I think the Islanders are very good competition defensively, but I think Carolina's defense, with the addition of a guy like Brent Burns last summer, is their advantage. I think they've got a ton of depth through those top 3 pairings. Even without Jake Gardiner, the the defense definitely goes to the edge of the Carolina Hurricanes. I really like that blue line. Definitely one of the top 5 in the NHL. The Islanders are right there as well with Pelech and Pulak, but we've seen we've seen some blips on the radar from guys like Mayfield, Dobson, and one of those younger guys, whether it's an Aho or Witherspoon or a Samuel Bolduc. Those guys have been a featured part on the third pairing. Romanov has been kind of up and down this season. I'm going to definitely give the edge defensively to the Hurricanes. Now, goaltending is really the key factor in this series, and honestly plays a huge factor in who I think will win this series. Carolina has 2 really good goaltenders. They've got, Freddie Anderson, as well as Peter Kochetkov. They've got a really good group there. Antti Ranta. They have 3 goalies that they could put in on any given night. And that's really a big thing for them. But at the end of the day, Ilya Sorokin has been incredible this year. He's probably going to finish, if he doesn't win the Vezina this year, he's definitely going to finish top 2 or 3. I would bet money on that. He will be a finalist. He has been unreal this season and a huge reason the Islanders are in the playoffs this year. So I have to give I have to give my respect to the Hurricanes goaltending, but the Islanders 1 for 1. You can only play one goalie against the other goalie. I'm giving the edge to Sorokin and the New York Islanders. So with that said, with all these things considered, injury-wise, forwards, defense, goaltending comparisons, head-to-head matchups, goals for, goals against. Like I said earlier in this video, this is going to be a very low-scoring series. A lot of 2-1, 3-2, 1-0 games. And with that said, normally I'm giving the edge to Carolina because they have been so good. But now we're going into the playoffs. The Islanders have been fighting it out the last couple of really months. They've had some big games against Pittsburgh. They've had some big games against teams like Washington. They've had to grind it out for the last couple of months. Carolina has been a little bit more on cruise control. Now, they did win the Metropolitan Division. Mad respect to that. They've had a lot of players kind of come up in the lineup and make a big difference. Rod Brind'Amour and the Hurricanes have been a good matchup against the Islanders for the last couple of years, and you have to respect that as well. But I think Ilya Sorokin, because the Islanders have been grinding it out for the last couple of months, they have the ability to maybe get that little extra inch, and I do think the Islanders are going to upset in the first round of the playoffs this year. And they have lost to Carolina the last 2 times they've played each other. I definitely understand that. I think the Islanders are due. This is a team that is really, really good, and with Sorokin, it is too much to ignore Ilya Sorokin's impact potentially on this series. So with that said, I think the Islanders are going to win this thing in 6 games. If this goes to 7 games, I think it's Carolina's to lose. But if we are here, Game 6, Islanders are up 3-2 in that series. They win a game down in Carolina. They're able to find a way to grind out some wins at home and find a way. I think the Islanders will win this thing in 6. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section down below. What do you guys think? This is going to be a really good series. If you like defensive matchups, this is a really good series for that. And this is going to be a really interesting one because I think that the Islanders, a lot of people are going to pick Carolina in this series, and rightfully so. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Islanders. They've done it in the past. They did it in 2020. They did it in 2021. This is a team that is a playoff team. They might struggle to get into the playoffs, but once they get in, they can cause a lot of havoc, and I think they could maybe do that here in round 1 with Carolina. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.